Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for this special New Year's Day episode of Alternative News. We're going to be talking about global blackout and extinction prevention. I have a gentleman on the show calling from Europe who prefers to remain anonymous to avoid losing his job. He's been studying weather his entire life and believes that space electricity plays a role in every disaster, and he's trying to raise awareness for global blackout and extinction prevention. Welcome to the show. You want to just say hello to the audience?
It was experimental recording or the start of the show?
This is the start of the show because I tested it and it sounds good, and so we can get going. So yes, this is recording.
So I start talking, okay?
Okay.
Will you edit later some mistakes, etc.? If I search for a word that I don't know?
Of course.
Okay.
And Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm grateful for the talk we make, and I hope the viewers will become optimists, because I'm not a doomsayer, but a doom fighter. We have too many potential to prevent global blackout and extinction. And since the US is the country that may lead tomorrow, I hope that the viewers will share this information and enjoy life saving.
Thank you. So, I meant to show you a picture of the studio, so you can see what I have on the screen. But I have one of them. You showed me a couple of pictures. It looks like laser Earth shield. But you could begin talking, and I'll follow along with you.
Okay. Where I can see the photo of the studio?
Well, it's too late for me to show you now, but you'll be able to see the video after. You know how it's all set up. But on one of my plasma screens, I have one of the videos, the little videos that you showed me, where it looks like 3 satellites are.
Okay. So I can start talking?
Yes.
Okay. The issue of global blackout is so serious that I wonder for many years why it's not in the media and the academia. As you can see in the first picture, in 2012, the Earth escaped a hit by a huge solar storm, coronal mass ejection, as we say, CME.
Now, which picture? The Pinatubo?
No, from the numbers 1, 2, 3. The first, the PowerPoint has.
Oh, on page 1 of the 21 pages.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let me go to that.
I will follow this series, and if I enter, I talk about another picture, then I will talk about what the other picture added contains. Okay?
Okay, so now I'm with you.
So first I will explain how a global blackout and extinction may occur, then what are our tools, our weapons to defend, then how many times we escaped until today, and eventually the solution that is very simple, provided someone is interested. So, in the second picture, we see that NASA in 2014 acknowledged that the asteroids, so the comets as well, are electric. And as far as the Global Blackout Prevention issue is concerned, two committees were formed lately, one in Texas and one in London, but they don't seem to cooperate or to refer to any solution that we say today. So why it is very important for everybody to know that asteroids and comets are electric bodies as the Earth. In the third picture, we see the two examples that the chief of NASA used in the 2019 conference in US to show the danger of approaching asteroids like Apophis. But the procedure in the conference didn't let anyone to speak about solution. He used two recent examples. The explosion of a mini asteroid in 1908 in Siberia. It destroyed a huge region. It was a forest beneath. And the recent explosion of a mini asteroid over Chelyabinsk, also in Siberia in 2013, that damaged thousands of buildings and injured 1,500 people. So he gave the example of two explosions, but the media continue to say that an asteroid may hit this place or the other place. No, the asteroids and the comets explode if they come close to Earth because Earth electricity is attracted by them, and in fact, it's a short circuit on the Earth. Meanwhile, almost every day now with the internet and the mobile phones, we see pictures of meteorites exploding and never hitting Earth, except but the pieces of the explosion. So the big panic in the moguls of Earth started after this talk, because in the picture number 4, we see that the forecast says, it's NASA official, asteroid Apophis, around 400-meter diameter, will pass through the asteroid belt in the spring of 2029, in 8 years' time. But they don't mention the possibility of explosion. So we are in a countdown. We don't know if we don't repel it, as we mentioned later, where it may explode. In the zone, beneath the zone, over the zone, nobody knows. If it explodes around the zone, too many satellites will be destroyed, and the explosion not only will destroy satellites that I'm trying to prevent it, but it will have an electromagnetic pulse, as we say, EMP, that it may cause a blackout beneath, on a continent maybe. So we pass in the next picture, and we see an official paper in the US Congress on the left that strong solar storm hits may cause a meltdown of reactors. That means a huge solar storm, that is the other reason, the cause that may lead to a global blackout, may cause also 1,000 reactors explosion. The reactors on Earth are 1,000.
And that's page 4 of the PDF?
Sorry?
Page
Number
4.
5, next 5.
Of the PDF?
Yes.
Okay.
So why so many reactors are unshielded? Why there's no plan worldwide to disconnect every electricity producing plant on Earth from the grid in case of such an event? Because of fatalism. Fatalism is a disease that is reproduced with doomsayers. We can do nothing. Don't think about this. Don't discuss it. So humankind is trapped by a few fatalists not to discuss since the beginning of the electric grids, as we'll see in a while. Instead, there are some people saying to billionaires, okay, we'll build for you a good shelter beneath 500 meters, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and it will be safe. It's a lie. Electricity from the space, either from the sun or from other points of the earth, of the sky, is causing the magma to stimulate and produce earthquakes and volcanic eruptions in two ways. The first is some penetration of these cosmic rays into the ground, but mostly it's that when this cloud, invisible usually, approaches Earth, not only it may produce lightnings, but also attracts, as we said, Earth's electricity. So the magma is boiling and causing all these disasters. That's why too many photos now and videos exist with lightnings in volcanic eruptions, during volcanic eruptions. And I repeat, it's not by friction of the dust. It's because the magma is almost plasma. It's full of electricity. Electricity is hitting it, and the charges exchange make the eruption and the lightnings. Here we can show the picture with Pinatubo eruption, 1991, when we have the proof that too much space electricity hit Earth at that time, producing also a storm in the region and the eruption. Thankfully, it was moderate. Now I will pass to the picture number 10. The alerts exist for a long time. I will focus on the main of them, and nothing is done yet. The blackouts worldwide rise because the grids, the electricity grids, are almost more than, in many cases, more than 100 years old, and they disintegrate. There's no providence about this serious issue. Every year lately, New York has a blackout, Europe has many blackouts, Puerto Rico had 9 months blackout last for 2 years, and so on. The solution also that you will hear in a while has a solution for this. So let's listen a while the alerts about the possibility of a disastrous global blackout since the beginning of the first electric line that was a weak electric line of telegraph, 1816. In 1815, there's been a great volcanic eruption in the volcano of Tambora in Indonesia. Next year, 1816, where the first telegraph line worked, was named the year without the summer because the volcanic eruption started the volcanic winter worldwide with huge winds and hurricanes, hailstorms, snowstorms, freeze, tremendous disaster. They started so the telegraph lines with no knowledge yet, but soon in 1859, a huge solar storm hit Earth, it's called now the Carrington event, and it was very well presented during those times in the papers, saying that every place on Earth that at the time the solar storm hit Earth had night, it was nighttime, for some minutes it became daylight. There are plenty of sources in the internet for someone to see, and lately there's a video with a very good representation of that time in US. And that storm caused a blackout in the telegraph grid of the US, that was the most wide, causing even fires in the telegraph poles and in the telegraph stations. So since 1859, astronomers and academicians worldwide knew very well about the danger that many times humankind faced in the past without electric grids. And because some of our ancestors had noticed that this uh, light was in fact to radiation, could kill someone either immediately or blind or by cancer. There's a thought that that was the reason that led them to construct uh, tunnels beneath the earth. So anytime a solar storm hit Earth, people could find shelter. So after 1859, we have the great eruption of Krakatoa 1883, and I just explained how big eruptions that we can avert wait a while can cause a global blackout now. And in 1921, the first global blackout happened after a solar storm hit Earth and destroyed too many devices in the telegraph lines. Then the electric grid was not so big, just in US, in a few cities worldwide. The first serious trouble in the electric grid happened in 1972. In 1972, there had been some troubles by a solar storm in some places around Pacific especially, and too many mines in the Pacific exploded. It is the year where we had already about 100 nuclear plants, and from that point, there is no excuse why the nuclear plants are unshielded and why there is no plan of disconnecting them. Then, 1980, you had the eruption of Mount St. Helens. In 1989, we can show the pictures with the damaged transformers in Canada, where we had, and the map also, a blackout in Quebec and some damages in the US. It was a strong hit. After in 1989, we had a solar storm, very strong hit in, sorry, 2003. And in the picture number 10, I'll show on the top right the charts that count the electricity that hit Earth that are red for many days. It's now called the Halloween storm. In 2005, we had a minor solar storm, but it caused blackouts in Sweden and Denmark. And now, closer to us, just look how many serious incidents we have. 2012, a huge CME, coronal mass ejection, passed by Earth. We missed it, thankfully, for a few days. If it had hit Earth, the global blackout and extinction would have happened. Again, no international congress, no precaution. It's sad. 2017, picture number 11. A minor solar storm hit the US only, or mainly, and it did not damaged the transformers, as happened in 1989 that we saw, but it damaged the newest computers that are thinnest. So they are more vulnerable to small particles penetrating the buildings from the solar storms. 15 US cities had blackouts that April. There is no scientific paper yet about the issue. Just a few people published what they saw, the map of the blackouts and the coincidence of the solar storm. And another near miss happened in 2020, last April, just like 2012. No paper yet. I make a parenthesis now showing the picture number 12 to explain where we will take the energy to repel these dangers, these threats. So around Earth, there are two belts of plasma called the Van Allen belts. Indeed, yes, they protect us from the minor solar storms. They are penetrated by some space electricity, either from the sun, either from other places that produce the lightnings. And these lightnings, for us, and the minor volcanic eruptions are beneficial for life because they produce the light rains. So there's a balance when the, as we call, space weather is fine. We have nice weather, not much clouds, sunshine, and light rains. And as we see, 1971, a scientist named Bryce proposed the partial harnessing of energy by these belts that they get every day electricity from mainly from the sun. So there is another really almost free energy not mentioned worldwide today. Well, after this parenthesis, we pass to the picture number 13 with a map of the current volcanic eruptions. Not all of them are shown, just what the satellites can detect. They cannot detect every eruption, not because it's impossible, but because they're not focusing on this. And as I said, and I will show now in that picture that has the chart of the quakes. Did you find it? It was one I added later on. Chart of the quakes last century. And when the big quakes are rare, that means less volcanic eruptions too, less volcanic clouding, warmer climate. Since 2000, the Earth is charged. We don't say now why. It's not too difficult, but it's not our point. And we see a rise in earthquakes. Almost everybody on Earth understands this. We had 2 more than 9 points in Sumatra and in Fukushima, Japan, with a triple explosion there of nuclear reactors, and many more. The magma now is more stimulated than in the 80s and 90s. More clouds, as we'll see, more hurricanes, more storms, more snow, etc. A cooling period, a dangerous period. Since the magma is charged, even a moderate hit from space electricity may cause bigger eruptions and troubles, and we may enter an ice age. That's why I wanted to refer that the solution for the repelling of asteroids, comets, and solar storms includes repelling locally electric hits from the sky that may cause a volcanic supereruption. So that is the point I mentioned, that the solution that I am now entering to present includes prevention also of the big volcanic eruptions and disasters.
You and I'm sorry, go ahead.
In the next picture, number 14, we see the day, a picture of the day we pictured the solution. In 2015, Boeing announced a patent about a machine producing laser plasma. That means when two powerful laser beams collide, they produce a plasma explosion. The patent is about the defense of vehicles in army that may this way repel hit by a bomb, for example. But you can imagine that bigger laser beams that now can be produced by 30 super lasers that exist in 30 universities worldwide, about 10 in US, North America, 10 in Europe, and 10 in East Asia. So these super lasers could be most of the time stand still, and with global cooperation be ready to hit, as we saw in the next picture, number 15, and in the videos. We can show both. In front of the target of an asteroid, don't forget that a big asteroid can suddenly come towards Earth, suddenly, because most of the radio telescopes are not searching for this in the sky. There's no organized defense as they claim, planetary defense, etc. It's a shame that, especially USA, that have all the tools, sorry, to lead the defense, are kept idle by some fatalists, some sick people that do not understand, because even fatalism is not faced as a disease.
But before we continue, I just want to say, earlier you and I were talking about how the Van Allen belt protects the Earth from a lot of the radiation and stuff from the sun. So why would we want to build these shields then if we're already protected by the Van Allen belt? That's my first question to you.
Okay, wait. The question is very good, and I said that Van Allens protect us partially from the small solar storms. But if the solar storm is strong, or if an asteroid is big, penetrates them, and the threat is imminent. So, in fact, we mimic Van Allen belt, and we add to the defense of Earth. And as you mentioned it very well here, to have a better defense, it's better to have satellites outside the Van Allen belts to prevent any hit of a solar storm in the belts and the disruption of the electricity of Earth. And that's why we propose, additionally to the 30 super lasers, the building of satellites that have super lasers.
These super lasers. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Super lasers are around Earth, sorry, or even on the moon. The moon is a very good base for super lasers and is not used yet.
So, but we can't get past the Van Allen belt to get to the moon, because NASA says they lost all the equipment
sorry,
and data.
Sorry, please speak more slowly.
NASA says that they lost all of their equipment and data related to making it past the Van Allen belt during the successful lunar missions. So in other words, they never found that equipment or data, so they have no way to make it past the Van Allen belt.
There is a way. If you search a little, they think for some missions to have the launch close to the poles where the Van Allen belts are weak, so it's easier to pass. But this issue that very well you put it now shows that, as the chief of the European Space Agency said a few years ago, it is impossible to travel, I would say, even to the moon again, because a sudden solar storm cannot be faced properly by any spacecraft now. Of course, they can say we will close the circuits, but nobody knows how the spacecraft will react, what will melt, how the health of the astronauts, and mainly that's the serious. What if Houston or the space control is having damage? Okay, the spacecraft may escape the hit, and they cannot communicate then with Earth.
Yeah,
that's why.
I've only got a few more minutes here, and I wanted to ask you real quick. You also have been talking a lot about asteroids posing a threat as well. But what about Graham Hancock, and he labels Jupiter defender of the Earth because Jupiter is so large and its massive gravitational pull. It can pull asteroids and other objects into itself, and it's so big that it can pulverize them, and it protects Earth.
Somebody had said that Jupiter or Saturn may have helped take asteroids away from the course towards Earth, but it may happen the reverse. It may have attracted asteroids and then they came towards Earth. Okay.
All right. Well, can you talk a little bit about these lasers that you're proposing that they use? Are they called laser Earth shield or laser plasma ball sets?
Okay. Today, there is a paper of the Cambridge University about the 30 existing super lasers. The biggest one now is in Japan, and its diameter is 54 centimeters. It's huge. If we put energy in this laser for a few seconds, it can open a hole in a mountain. Of course, they don't use it for this, just experimenting. But if another laser like this would operate together and would their beams were headed towards the sky and collided, we could see the plasma ball that we're talking about. Experiments about laser plasma, I mean laser produced by colliding laser beams, has been happening at least since 1990. I learned this a few years ago, just after Boeing announced its patent. I didn't know. I'm reading daily hundreds of pages, and I had not read this. There have been also, and up till now, last year, 7 times when simulations have been made in computers about laser plasma. 4 times or 6, I think, it were by American universities, one by an Indian and one from Portugal.
Well, we're out of time. Super lasers. I'm not sure. I definitely agree with global blackout prevention, trying to do global blackout prevention. But I don't know about these super lasers. There seems to be like there might be more to it than meets the eye. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll see what the audience thinks. This is all very interesting, I think. What do you think, audience, as we talk about super lasers, global blackout and extinction prevention? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and optimism for everybody.
Thank you so much for being on the show.